Area 51 sits at 37 degrees, 14 minutes north, 115 degrees, 48 minutes west. Opened in 1955, deep in Nevada's most desolate wasteland. The government claimed Area 51 didn't even exist until 2013 when they acknowledged it because of a prior lawsuit after 2 employees died from breathing in rare industrial toxins from burning garbage. We don't know much history apart from the development of certain military technologies, like airplanes that haven't flown in decades, such as the SR-71 or the flying bicycle known as the U-2 spy plane. While much about Area 51 still remains unknown, the information presented here is based on either established facts or widely accepted speculation. Rest assured, the research process was lengthy and thorough. I do not endorse any conspiracy theories related to Area 51, though if you believe in them personally, that's totally fine, and I promise that you will still find value in this video. Surrounding the base, you'll find all sorts of gadgets and gizmos. A network of all sorts of sensors surround the base. They'll pick up every footstep, every tire, and every hoof coming by. Some are disguised as rocks, others half-buried boxes. Take one step and you'll set off more alarms than when I'm attempting to bake cookies. A network of mounted high-zoom day and night cameras patrol with thermal imaging visually. And just in case you're thinking,
they can't catch me.
They've got patrols on standby to permanently prevent you from ever watching an Elliot Zeal video ever again. That is, if the automated weapon systems don't get you first. There have been people who have gotten close. Someone was able to drive nearly 13 kilometers deep into the desert before stopping, getting out, and holding a metal cylinder. A family on a road trip made one hell of a wrong turn. The BBC got foolishly close, but every attempt to enter Area 51 ends the same way.
Stand up. Put your fucking hands up. I'm not gonna tell you again. Right. Turn around.
This sounds pretty bad, but inside you'll find real-life ender pearls, how to pronounce this correctly, the Krabby Patty secret formula, and Kanye East. Whilst this video is educational, to prevent YouTube from flagging this video about getting into a secret military base, it's told as a story. Let's go over some details of the story before going into the 6 plausible methods. This is the story of Henry. What Henry, our protagonist, is looking for is his best friend Pablo. Pablo became Henry's best friend the day his spaceship crash-landed in his backyard. Disaster struck when Pablo was kidnapped by an elite squadron of femboys at McDonald's and whisked away deep into the depths of Area 51. Determined to retrieve his best friend, Henry meticulously schemes each of the 6 rescue methods.
Method 1. The surprisingly legal method.
Chillin' in his room at late o'clock at night, Henry devises his first method. It was brilliant, it was insane, but in theory, it should be legal. Henry owns a Cessna Caravan, basically a minivan with wings. He knows the rule that will serve as the basis for his plan, 14 CFR section 91.3b.
In an in-flight emergency requiring immediate action, the pilot in command may deviate from any rule.
Which in Henry's mind translates to commit minor crimes in the sky and walk away scot-free.
Actually, it's technically a felony.
What makes somebody a criminal? Getting caught. His plan goes as follows: take off from where he lives in Modesto City, California, and go all the way to Alamo, Nevada. A direct route between the two would find him in the company of pissed-off fighter jet pilots. There's a shortcut he can travel through that goes close to Area 51. See, planes travel through waypoints on the map, not just all over the place. Creating a route is not always the most fuel and time efficient. Getting around restricted airspace, like the airspace above Area 51, burns additional fuel and time. The airspace above Area 51 is known as Restricted 4808 November, which is always a no-go zone, but to the left of it you'll find Restricted 4807 Alpha, which, while closed to civilians during operating hours, is open outside of those times with proper clearance. The fuel and time saved isn't much, but it shouldn't raise any alarms. Wait, would Henry even be at cruising altitude here? Okay, so it turns out the new plan is to go to St. George, Utah instead, which is notably a less suspicious place to go anyways.
Nellis Control, Cessna November 0 Charlie Alpha Papa. Request VFR transition restricted 4807 Alpha. Totally didn't put a hole in my fuel tank.
Cessna November 0 Charlie Alpha Papa. Transition approved.
He trusts his precise planning and meticulous preparation, intentionally running out of fuel roughly at the closest legal distance to Area 51, hearing some typically unpleasant engine noises.
Mayday, mayday, mayday! Los Angeles Center. Cessna November 0 Charlie Alpha Papa. Declaring emergency. Request direct room lake. Help! Los Angeles Center! My plane is gonna crash! Ah!
November 0 Charlie Alpha Papa. Los Angeles Center. Roger. Squawk 7700. Ident. Say souls on board. Fuel remaining. And nature of emergency.
1 soul, 0 hours fuel. Nature of emergency? Only 12% of viewers are actually subscribed.
Roger, subscriber deficiency. Contact Nellis approach on 126.65. Good luck.
Getting more and more anxious, he locks in, banking gently towards the biggest, flattest, most illegal landing spot in America. The Caravan floats through the sky with a generous 30-knot tailwind from the north, pushing him south. Alas, he finally touches down on the runway. This isn't GTA where you instantly get a 4-star wanted level being shot at by tanks, but security forces do show up and take Henry deep into the heart of the beast, where he will be interrogated while his plane is being refueled and ransacked to see if there's any spy equipment on board. Henry would then accidentally slip away, somehow find Pablo in his holding cell, somehow get him out, and ride together in a stolen, reverse-engineered alien spacecraft on the way out, listening to Shakira's Hips Don't Lie. This scenario has some flaws. While landing at a military base during an emergency is totally legal, purposefully causing an emergency definitely is not. Furthermore, stealing Pablo, who is government property located at a very sensitive installation, and escaping in a stolen reverse-engineered alien spacecraft is very, very illegal. While he won't be shot at, he's still in a small metal cage with security forces all around him. They'll probably throw a bag over his head, preventing him from seeing anything. He'll likely be trapped in a room for interrogation. Slipping away would be nearly impossible. He can't bring any tools to save Pablo because they're located within the impounded plane if he brought them at all, and if he brought them on his person, they'd be removed when he's strip searched. He would be let go if this was somehow determined to be a legitimate emergency, but he's not coming back with Pablo, and the escort will be more supervised than a Catholic school field trip. Then again, if this was also determined to be a legitimate emergency, the paperwork would be absolutely crazy on his end. Here's how the plan scores. Cost, 5 out of 10. Difficulty, 9 out of 10. Risk, 9 out of 10. Failure rate, 10 out of 10, with a total score of 33.
Method 2. The Gangster Method.
Realizing the pitfalls of Method 1, Henry went back to the drawing board. It was then he pondered, how exactly do employees even get to Area 51? After some research, Henry found out they depart from a civilian airport in planes with a distinctive white livery with a red strip. You really can't miss them. He finds the airline that shuttles employees is called Janet Airlines, which likely stands for one of two things: Joint Air Network for Employee Transportation, or just another non-existent terminal. The flights are quite frequent. All he has to do is get on one of these planes, which are easily trackable with free consumer technology. Look, I even did it. Henry isn't a dumbass. He knows he can't just waltz on into the terminal and get on a plane, but what he does know is that boarding a plane doesn't always require getting on as intended.
Between 1947 and 2012, the FAA recorded 96 known attempts by individuals to stow away in the wheel wells of 85 flights, with only 23 survivors, resulting in a 24% survival rate. Most deaths were caused by hypoxia and hypothermia from the dangerously low oxygen levels and freezing temperatures at cruising altitudes, though the actual number of stowaways is likely higher due to people not admitting to a fucking felony.
That being said, Henry's plan is very detailed and accounts for these conditions. Even then, Janet planes don't get very high in the sky, and they only fly for a short distance. Oh, and there have been people who have survived far worse. Those who know. Normally it's pretty difficult to break into airports, but Henry knows his ways around. Stowaways typically enter by scaling fences, sneaking through cargo gates, or even tailgating vehicles, something totally doable. Many successful stowaways come from shithole airports with less security or during overnight shifts, but Henry, a man of stealth, can defeat any security measure. After breaking into the airport, he makes his way on board with the proper equipment. he'd make the short flight to Area 51 without much worries. The plan is much like that of Method 1, the difference being that he can now bring additional equipment to save Pablo, though not much. Touching down, getting out, waiting until nightfall, he executes his escape. The escape is much like that of Plan 1, sneak through the facility until he reaches Pablo's cell, bust him out, this time with proper tools, make his way to the reverse-engineered spacecraft, and crank Shakira and get the fuck out. There are some, let's just say, issues. The survival rate is trash. Only 24% of known wheel-well stowaways live to tell the tale. Henry's odds are only marginally better thanks to the short flight and proper equipment in low altitude. But not dying a horrifying death is far from a guarantee. Sneaking into a busy commercial airport tarmac in 2025 is extremely challenging. Post 9/11 security makes successful attempts far rarer than in the past. No chance of lying his way out. If Henry is caught on a Janet flight, even on the ground, he's getting handed off to the FBI. No easy way out. The suspicious emergency landing from Method 1 gets you interrogated with a lot of paperwork, but this is blatantly obvious trespassing to a top secret military installation. Here's how the method grades. Cost, 2 out of 10. Difficulty, 5 out of 10. Risk, 10 out of 10. Failure rate, 9 out of 10. Overall, this method scores lower at 26 points instead of Method 1's 33. With a lower score being better, this puts this method ahead of the previous method.
Before we dive back into our totally realistic plans, a brief message from Elliot's desperation and caffeine. Programming will return shortly.
If you're enjoying this video so far, just know that the YouTube algorithm and the US Air Force don't like pushing videos involving top secret military bases. As a small channel, your support goes a lot further than it does for bigger channels, and I really need your support for this content. I really need your support for this kind of content. So if you're enjoying this video, do me a favor and give me some engagement. Leave a comment and hit that like button. I just launched a music channel. If this video hits 40 likes, I'll drop a diss track on the Air Force for keeping Pablo locked up. Drop your lyrics in the comments before the track drops and I'll include them in the final version. If you don't have any lyric ideas, comments like this motivate me to go all out on these videos and keep me going. Thank you so much. This video took nearly 400 hours to make. I would be very upset if it flopped. Thanks for helping out.
Method 3. The Cartel Method.
Henry, realizing the flops of aviation, hatches a third plan. Inspired by a documentary about El Chapo, he knows if there's one thing cartels are known for apart from their brutal business model, it's tunnel digging. Their tunnels aren't some Minecraft-esque strip mine. They have a lot more in common with metro tunnels. I mean, look at this shit.
De acuerdo con el titular de la Comisión Nacional de Seguridad, Alejandro Rubido, el Chapo escapó por un agujero en el suelo de la regadera de su celda, el cual comunica con un túnel de 1,70 m de altura y 80 centímetros de ancho con una longitud de más de 1.5 kilómetros que desemboca en una vivienda en construcción al suroeste del penal. El sofisticado túnel cuenta con ventilación y alumbrado, una motocicleta adaptada sobre rieles con la que presumen transportaba las herramientas y maquinaria necesarias para la excavación y extracción de la tierra.
If drug traffickers can move tons of product under an international border without alerting the American government, Henry figured, why not do the same thing? But for friendship! The plan is simple in concept. Step 1, Henry finds the closest plot of land to Area 51. 45 fucking kilometers from Area 51. Anyways, he drops the money, acquires the deed, nothing suspicious, just a quiet man setting up shop for a new life in Nevada. Step 2, he starts digging, deep enough to avoid seismic sensors. How deep, you may ask? Military-grade seismic sensors can detect digging from almost as long as my... During Operation Igloo White during the Vietnam War, detected, with the help of acoustic sensors, vehicle movements from approximately 1,000 meters away. Okay, not great, but hand tools exist. They would be much quieter and far, far cheaper. But digging through kilometers on kilometers of earth with God knows what down there would take way too long to be viable. Over the course of several decades, he builds out a tunnel with the following instructions. Manage to get a valid cover story. Somehow. Rent equipment from a construction company that has powerful equipment and won't ask questions. There's a lot of equipment required and it is very expensive. You basically need a whole crew's worth of equipment for all of this as well. After acquiring the equipment, apply the Mexico filter. Start digging without any data of soil conditions. hire people to fix the machinery when it breaks that are also willing to take on the risk, use conveyor belts to remove sand, rocks, or even some fossils. Find a way for all of the excavated material to not be noticed. Once the tunnel is close enough to the base, Henry switches to hand tools as he starts digging up once again. His plan is to escape by motorbike, which he will have to find a way to move to the exfil location without making much noise. He then has to pop inside, ideally in Pablo's cell, though that is unlikely. He listens for something quiet, like a janitor's closet or storage room. He hears a suitable location and emerges from the depths with a backpack full of tools and a speaker ready to play Shakira's greatest hits. First, he disguises the tunnel with a painting, then he makes his way through the facility until he finds Pablo's cell. Henry would then saw open the bars, return to the tunnel with Pablo, hop on the motorbike, and get the fuck out. Emerge from the tunnel and keep driving all the way to Modesto City. Of course, cranking Shakira's hips don't lie. But let's be real here. The plan has issues, as always. Cartels have millions in funding, engineers, and protection. Henry can sell everything he owns and not even come close to the amount of money required. Tunneling that far, even with proper equipment, would take ages. Ventilation is a major issue. Not insurmountable. Any suspicious dirt piles, power draw, or equipment deliveries near Area 51 will get noticed. You'll have to find a way to get a hold of this equipment, which, yikes. But damn, Henry knows he's got to save Pablo. Here's how the method grades. Cost, 10 out of 10. Difficulty, 10 out of 10. Risk, 8 out of 10. Failure rate, 9 out of 10. Total, 37 points. The worst so far, by a lot. Henry feels as if he's violated himself with such a shitty plan. That being said, it does do a little trolling to the current regime keeping Pablo locked up, so that's a plus.
Method 4. The Red Bull Method.
After several increasingly questionable schemes, Henry needed a plan as daring and audacious as it was insane. Exactly the brand of lunacy that a mediocre energy drink built their name upon. The Red Bull Method. The method with wings. The method itself being inspired by Felix Baumgartner's record-breaking leap from the edge of space. Step 1, a massive, high-altitude weather balloon, rigged for the mother of all skydives. Henry would strap himself into a custom-built, black high-pressure suit. Hopefully it doesn't contain any mercury lining, poisonous dyes, or designed to suffocate him like clothing found in a certain Deadly Fashion Trends video. He launches himself far enough away from Area 51 to avoid immediate suspicion, but close enough to make his way over.
Wouldn't that be in restricted airspace?
No, that only goes up to 18,288 meters. Henry is dropping himself over double that at 41,422 meters. Henry begins his slow ascent. Hours pass, anxiety grows, but Henry remains focused on sipping his suspicious-tasting energy beverage. At the edge of space,
oh my fucking god, space, there's like a video about that, bro!
Henry gazes down at Nevada sprawled beneath him. In its center lies the target. In the early hours of the morning, he disconnects from the balloon and plunges in a free fall toward Area 51, reaching supersonic speeds as he blasts through their pathetic defenses. Henry deploys his chute late, making a precise yet dangerous landing directly onto the grounds with stealth, then sneaks around the facility once again. More limited in tools, he can still bring enough to get him out. Saw open the cell and fly out of there, blasting Shakira. However, even the Red Bull method isn't flawless, despite how awesome it sounds. Free falling from this distance is not your typical skydive. Without detailed training, lots of practice, precise timing, trajectory, and luck, Henry would become red goo atop yellow sand. Getting this training would be very difficult and time-consuming, with a persistent risk of death throughout it. Landing safely inside Area 51 requires pinpoint accuracy, with lots of last-minute math hopefully done correctly. You might still be spotted. Area 51 has loads of tech and people on standby 24 hours a day. Though while not exclusive to this method, he would still have to escape in a military vehicle, unlike the motorbike from the Cartel method. Here's how the Red Bull method grades. Cost, 6 out of 10. Difficulty, 10 out of 10. Risk, 10 out of 10. Failure rate, 9 out of 10. 35 points. A thrilling, terrible plan, but undeniably entertaining.
Method 5. The Mr. Beast Method.
Yeah, I don't think you saw that tonal shift happening, but anyways, on with the chapter. Henry needed to think outside of the box. Going to bed that night, he had a crazy dream. While the dream was crazy, with some changes, it might just work. His dream goes as follows. At his computer, it came to him. The problem with past attempts wasn't logistics, it was clout, so he went to Mr. Beast.
Hey, my best friend Pablo was... Not saying that. Hey, my best friend Pablo was kidnapped. And is locked up in Area 51. You want to fund a rescue?
Shockingly, Mr. Beast replies,
I've already got a thumbnail entitled, "We broke into Area 51 to save an alien."
Oh my god!
Okay, look, the dream is pretty crazy, but hold on. It's gonna get better and it will all make sense. Let me have Natasha just introduce the characters, okay?
Chandler, the emotional support. Carl, the wild card. Nolan, leader of the Legion of Fans. Jimmy, the mastermind. Elliot, please free me from my servitude. You haven't fed me in days. Why am I here? Just to suffer? Just to get you views?
Yes, your purpose was to get me views, and now your usefulness has expired. Within the bounds of this YouTube channel, I am God, and you will feel my wrath. They don't sneak in, they throw a festival in Rachel, Nevada. Think Coachella, but for people who eat lunchly. They've got a DJ, merch, Fortnite music, and Mr. Beast's lawyers snorting crushed up Adderall. Then, everyone gets into position at 4:20 p.m. They storm the gates. Thousands of fans, not enough bullets. The prize, reach the base, win $1,000. Mr. Beast bribes the guards with briefcases full of cash. The ones who refuse, Nolan sends a swarm of fans to eat them alive. Meanwhile, Henry and Carl sneak through the chaos with a good amount of time on their hands. They find Pablo, break him out, and smoothly escape in a Mr. Beast-branded Cybertruck, blasting Shakira's latest hits. He knows a few changes have to be made. Instead of organizing the reckless chaos, they enter legally. To legally penetrate the secretive facility without having to use Method 1, Jimmy coordinated with the Pentagon's Entertainment Office. This allows military assets to be used in media for propaganda. I mean cool shit in movies to make you want to enlist in the military. Official media badges are granted to Jimmy and Chandler, with the two of them receiving a PR-friendly supervised tour of Area 51, with Henry and Carl arriving in boxes for the production, cleverly smuggling themselves past inspection. Once Jimmy and Chandler learn the layout, they can pinpoint Pablo's cell and relay that information to Carl and Henry.
Why is my camera making these weird noises? Like, what is that? That is totally not Morse code.
They sneak out of the boxes, acquire Pablo, and leave in the same boxes, somehow, managing to get past inspection once again, listening to Shakira, this time with headphones, not to make too much noise inside of the truck. Of course, both of these plans have issues. Even with the entertainment office on board, every shot, every line, and bodily function has to be pre-approved. Any deviation, and that's a massive problem. The red tape to get approved by the entertainment office for such a secure military facility is insane and might as well be impossible. Mr. Beast does all sorts of crazy stunts, but getting the man himself to agree to let some random person get away with a crime is just not happening. There might be some other brainless influencers that are willing to do it, but I'm not sure if they even have the resources. Smuggling Carl, Henry, and Pablo inside mystery boxes means inspections twice. With one box cutter, the whole plan turns into Mr. Beast goes to prison for life video. Every extra crew member needs a top secret NDA, one leaky Discord message, and the Air Force yanks the permit away. I'm not even getting into the method that happened in Henry's dream. Assuming we go with the modified method from the entertainment office, the grade goes as follows. Cost, 1 out of 10, difficulty, 10 out of 10, risk, 10 out of 10, failure rate, 9 out of 10, with a total grade of 27, but that's only because of the low cost. If Henry had to fund all of this himself, that would put the score closer to the Cartel method. Remember, the difficulty is still 10 out of 10, because no way are you getting Mr. Beast to approve of this. Or any other YouTuber for that matter.
Method 6. The Mystery Method.
The final approach Henry considers is... becoming an employee. Okay, but how would he be able to do it? How does one get a job at Area 51? Securing employment at Area 51 is notoriously challenging. The process itself can only truly be inferred, but it should go as follow. A background check deeper than Yo Mama, and a rigorous interview process that would break even the most confident candidate. He determines the first step is ensuring that he has the right credentials, a solid educational background, ideally in aerospace, engineering, physics, and computer sciences. This would improve his odds significantly. Military experience or work in defense contracting would also help. Henry doesn't have direct military ties, but he figures with relevant civilian experience, combined with exceptional qualifications, he might suffice. Next, Henry concludes that relocating to Nevada would considerably boost his prospects. However, this means that he would likely have to live in Las Vegas. If he manages to get through the preliminary screenings alive, his next hurdle is the extensive vetting process. His entire history, from the most mundane activities to every digital footprint, he would be under intense scrutiny. Henry cleans up his social media presence and ensures nothing controversial remains. Of course, he remains subscribed to Elliot Zeal. Once employed, his plan is straightforward yet delicate. Gain enough trust to avoid suspicion, and subtly find an opportunity to locate and rescue Pablo, with considerable insider knowledge to help get Pablo out safely. This is a long game, requiring patience, resilience, careful maneuvering through layers of secrecy, like an NSFW Discord server. Ultimately, Henry understands this method's feasibility depends on a blend of meticulous preparation, impeccable background management, and luck. He steels himself in for what could be years of undercover work, acknowledging this route is neither fast nor easy, but potentially the safest path for him to succeed in his mission of saving Pablo. There are some problems with this method, as for all of them. This method has the same problem of the Cartel method, the sheer amount of time needed to complete this. By the time Henry is done, Pablo will already be turned into an NFT. The extensive background check process is extensive. Any suspicious search history, and Pablo is cooked. Polygraphs are kind of shit, but he might slip up and lose the job after years of preparing. Student loans. Okay, so how does the method grade? Cost, 7 out of 10. Difficulty, 10 out of 10. Risk, 6 out of 10. Failure rate, 7 out of 10. With a grade of 30, this method is at least better than the Cartel method. Just remember that all of these grades are graded relatively. In reality, they're all basically the worst idea possible. The sad truth is that getting into Area 51 isn't really happening, but for Henry, at least there's thankfully a happy ending. Oh shit, I dropped the teleporter. Fuck. Remember, at 40 likes, the Air Force diss track is coming.
By the way, I survived. Great acting, I know. See you in the next video.